In this video, we are going to talk about summer plans for homeschooling and summer homeschool curriculum choices. And I'm also going to share with you some of my ideas about year-round schooling versus schooling just during the school calendar year and then having a summer thing. I'm going to talk a little bit about those. So my name is Ailani. I am a former public and private school teacher. I'm a homeschool mom of 4. The youngest has Down syndrome. The oldest is in middle school. And I am also a homeschool evaluator for the state of Florida. I am an author, which the book is down in the description box below, and you can add public speaking now to my resume. That's really exciting though. Really excited about that. So enough about me. Let me talk about just this idea of year-round schooling versus summer school. So what's really great about being a homeschool parent is you can pick how long you want to homeschool your kids, when you homeschool kids, when you stop and start, when you take vacations off. It's so flexible. I know some states and some countries require a certain amount of days to do things, like you get 180 days or whatever the state requires, and you have to report that. Other states, it's pretty much up to you. So I live in a state where it's pretty much up to us. So for a long time, we decided that we were going to start school in the middle of October, right after the biblical high holidays, because we do celebrate those. And, through the years, because we live in a country where a lot of people follow the school calendar, we've had to adjust for social, for co-op reasons, scheduling reasons, and just adjust to social norms. Just because it just works better, but we do take off for the high holidays. There is another thought in the homeschool world, which I do agree with it. It's really whatever suits your needs. But the idea is that if you don't finish your homeschool curriculum, it's not a big deal. Yeah, that happens. Like you come to the end and you, the parent, realize the last couple chapters of the book, we don't need to do that. It's just a repetition, or it's something they're going to learn next year anyway. We don't have to do that. That's fine. Okay? I get that. And I appreciate it tremendously because, once again, homeschooling is completely up to you. But what we do is once we start our curriculum, we are going to finish it throughout the year. And if it leads into the month of July and June, that's fine. We need to just finish out the curriculum. But a lot of the times, they're going to finish their curriculum in mid-March or mid-April, or sometimes even in the middle of January. So, for example, my kids have finished their spelling book in March. And so we're not, they're not doing spelling anymore. My son is done with his IEW curriculum a couple weeks ago, so we're done. However, my other son is probably going to be doing his IEW well into the month of July. So it's kind of like this, if you can kind of visualize it, everybody starts and it's like a bar graph. Some of it goes longer, some of it goes shorter. And if they double up, doubling up actually means that instead of doing 1 lesson a day, maybe you do 2 or 3 lessons a day. If you are doubling up in the curriculum that you find easy, or just for whatever reason, you're going to finish it faster. And that's okay. So that's kind of how we do our school year in general. But hopefully that makes sense and you get the picture. I'd be curious to see how you guys handle the year-round schooling versus public school calendar type schooling from that August to May thing. Do you stop your curriculum in the middle of the year? I'd be curious to see what kind of things you do. So let me go back to summer homeschooling now. Because there are some subjects that my kids will be continuing through the summer, we're going to continue those through the summer. The co-ops are definitely starting to close down and finish out the school year. I know currently the co-op that we attend has 2 more weeks, and then it's done. And they actually take a lot of classes at their co-ops. They go twice a week. So we are going to have all their sciences done, literature classes done, and we have a logic class that they're going to finish up. There's a theater class, there's a geography class. It's going to be done. So we don't have to really worry about finishing those out. Some of them the ones that we are at home, there's a couple of subjects that I'm really trying to just push push my kids through. I did mention some of them finish their spelling. I have one kid that is not done with his spelling, so literally I'm doubling him up on a lot of those days. Fix-It Grammar, I'm trying to double up on Fix-It Grammar so they can have all their grammar done for the summer, and they know that because I'm like, the more grammar you have done today, the less time you have to worry about doing it during the summer. And that's a huge motivation. So the things that I foresee continuing through the summer: math is probably going to wrap up sometime in July-ish. I also foresee my one son is going to be working on IAW through the summer. So curriculum choices. So I'm a big fan of summer camps, taking advantage of that. You know, you've got the YMCA, you've got VBS. Unfortunately, I have two kids that are too old for VBS, but we do have other opportunities, like we have the YMCA, which actually we have a very nice YMCA down here that is very outdoorsy. Last year they did a boating and kayaking week-long stay at the YMCA. This year is more like it sounds kind of, it's not called Adventure Club, but it's kind of like an adventure club, but it's more like learning survival skills. My daughter actually likes to do the horse camp where she takes care of their horses that they have there. We are probably going to be enrolling Naomi into some kind of dance camp this summer because dance is one of the things that she really enjoys. And of course, lots and lots of swimming. We live in Florida. In Florida, it gets really hot, specifically like July and August. And you know how like when it snows, you don't want to go outside when it's really cold. And so we will do a lot of indoor activities unless we're at the pool. So there is a lot of swimming. And we do have a pretty large pool in the neighborhood, and we're hoping to invite a lot of friends, do a lot of play dates at our pool. We also, believe it or not, in the front of our house, we have swamp. It's Florida. We have lots of swamp. There's no alligators. It's swampy. I don't think there's alligators. It's not like, I mean, there's alligators in Florida, but it's not like alligators are wandering around in the streets. It's not like that. But we are going to do some curriculum choices. Okay, so the first one that I really want to do with my oldest son is this one right here. It is how to write a story. It is IEW, and I've had this for quite a while, and I keep eyeballing it because it teaches you how to write a short story, it teaches you how to write a long form story, and all the different aspects of story writing, fictional story writing. I want to do this with my son, and both of my sons. I have a fictional story that I'm very interested in writing, and I thought it would be just like a really fun family kind of activity to do. The other thing is I am going to put together a unit study on the history of modern day Israel, which I feel like a lot of books don't talk about. And I feel like it's really important to know what happened in modern day Israel. And I'm hoping that I can, because I'm pretty much building it myself, I really do want to share with you this unit study and how I unit study it. I'm in the process of building that right now, and I'll give you a little sample taste of kind of what I'm doing. Now, we do know biblical history, and it goes up to a certain point. And then the Jews just go out into the diaspora. So there's during the Renaissance, or actually medieval times, Dark Ages, they just kind of disperse. Now there is, some historians have been able to keep track of what has happened to the Jewish people, and there are books written about that. There's actually one in particular that I'm going to be purchasing. I should probably put that in the, I haven't thought, you know what, I'm just sticking the links below. We've got that history, and then it starts to show up again during the Holocaust. And we know about that. After the Holocaust, the nation of Israel was born, which is a big deal. And that was 75 years ago. And so here's what we're putting together. So I did mention the comic book, which gives me a nice little history through the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and beyond up until the Holocaust. And then Israel becomes a nation. So, of course, the history of Israel can be extremely confusing for many people for lots of different reasons, because there's lots of interpretations of it. And knowing the Middle East and understanding the Middle East, there's a lot of conflict and everybody has their side of the story. So I try to be very particular with who I gather my information from, and I'm still doing a lot of research on this. I'm just gonna share what I have. So the first one I have is this book. It's by Christians United for Israel. Now, I skimmed through it. I have not gone through this curriculum, but it looked good because it is from a believing perspective on the country, but pretty much it's a Christian perspective on Israel as a friend of Israel that supports Israel. And so I'm going to go through this, and we're going to, it talks about Palestine, it talks about the 6-Day War, it talks about, it's pretty thick here, Yom Kippur Wars, all the new conflicts. It's going to talk about just all the things, okay? I'm going to use this as my spine. That's what I'm thinking right now. Let me know in the comments down below if this is something that you would like to see me put together as an ebook or something like that, as a unit study guide, because I love this stuff, okay? And this is one of the things many people don't. I have a lot of Israeli friends, and before I was married, I spent a lot of time in Israel, and that's why I go to a Messianic synagogue. I've been going for 22 years. What I have here is an outline that has been put together actually by our congregational leader. And it's very, very nice. It's a concise history. I'll just leave a link. I think he has something. If not, I'll ask him if I can add a link to put. All right, so it talks about, BCE, and then it talks about CE. It's very brief. He gives you some scriptures, but then here, Israel's proof that God is faithful. This is more scriptures. But then, he has some maps. So here's where it starts, Israel in the late 1800s. It talks about this, League of Nations, moving into World War II, the partition plan of 1947, going into the Jewish refugees. Once again, a nice little outline. Palestine Liberation Organization was founded, PLO. He talks about that. Ceasefire lines in 1967. And Golan Heights, which if you go to Israel, you have to go there, is like ridiculously beautiful. Then we go into a list of Middle Eastern countries by population. I'm going to use a lot of this to kind of help guide me through some of the history so I don't get stuck. And also to check against this. If you have any resources that you think actually might be helpful when I'm putting this all together, please feel free to leave them in the description box below. We are going to read these two books that I found. It is by Tamar Stein, and here they are. So this one's on the 6-Day War, which was in 1967, and then this is going to be the Yom Kippur Wars, which was 1973. Those are the two books that I have for us to read through. I'm sure I'm going to have some kind of project. I would love to just go to Israel as a final project, but I know that's not happening right now. It's expensive to take 6 people. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And I hope you have a great, wonderful summer, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.